Peter, a young boy without parents, was taken under the care of Vilna Lutz, an elderly soldier. During his early years, Peter learned the ways of a soldier like Lutz, but he also yearned to experience the simple joys of childhood. Lutz reminded him that although other kids had families, being an orphan granted Peter a unique perspective. Lutz encouraged Peter to dedicate himself to the soldier's life. Before setting off on his daily march, Lutz gave Peter a coin for his customary fish and bread. A man accidentally bumped into Peter, causing him to drop his coin near a tent where a fortune teller resided. This intrigued Peter, as he had never encountered such a thing before. A sign announced that the tent could answer the most complex question from the depths of the human heart or mind for the price of a single coin. Despite his initial hesitation, Peter had a burning question that he needed an answer to. He decided to step inside the tent. Inside, he was captivated by the mystical atmosphere. Out of nowhere, the fortune teller materialized and informed Peter that Lutz would be displeased if he returned without his dinner. Nevertheless, Peter chose to part with his coin in exchange for an answer. The fortune teller studied Peter's palm and revealed, "She lives." This statement shocked Peter, assuming the fortune teller referred to his presumed dead sister. The fortune teller soothed his anxiety and advised Peter to formulate the right question before seeking an answer. Peter recounted that his family perished during a war when he was only 3 years old. Lutz rescued him after the battle and raised him in the ways of a soldier. According to Lutz, Peter's mother and newborn sister had died. However, Peter held onto the memory of holding his sister and was convinced she survived. He implored the fortune teller for guidance on locating her. In response, the fortune teller instructed him to follow the path of an elephant, assuring him he would eventually find her. Peter regarded this instruction as a jest, considering that there were no elephants nearby. Because of the fortune teller's words, Peter and Lutz were faced with a night of hunger. Peter shared with Lutz that the fortune teller seemed to know a lot about him. Lutz, however, questioned this notion, asking how someone else could understand Peter when he himself had uncertainties about his own identity. Peter recounted the fortune teller's message about his living sister and the suggestion to follow an elephant. Vilna Lutz, growing weary of Peter's persistent hope that his sister lived, reiterated that she had passed away long ago. All he had done was save Peter from that time onward. To lighten the mood, Lutz allowed Peter to retrieve a fairy tale book stored in the kitchen cabinet. Peter was curious about the book's author, Roman de Smet. Lutz revealed that Roman was a fellow soldier with whom he had served. The book provided Roman solace, connecting him to memories of home and his mother. Lutz had taken the book to help Roman concentrate on his soldier duties, as he became a formidable force when without it. Lutz shared a quote, "Where there is comfort, there is innocence. Where there is innocence, there can never be a soldier." He drew a parallel to the fortune teller's tale of elephants, much like those in the fairy tale. The narrative shifted to Peter following Lutz's orders to march, accidentally interrupting a family's dinner. His neighbor, Leo, confronted him, explaining that dinner hours were usually spared from marching. But Peter's decision to spend his dinner money on the fortune teller resulted in extra marching time. Meanwhile, a lackluster magic show took place that night. The magician, met with disapproval from the audience, aimed to redeem himself with a final trick involving Madame Lavon. However, the trick went awry, leading to Madame Lavon being injured by a falling elephant. In his sleep, Peter dreamt of cradling his newborn sister, a joyous image shattered upon waking. The following morning, he hurried to find the fortune teller's tent, only to discover its absence. Asking a fish seller about its disappearance, Peter learned that the tent had never been there in the first place. Afterward, Peter overheard a woman discussing an elephant, prompting him to approach her eagerly for more information. She revealed that the elephant had been confined, along with the magician. This news ignited Peter's hope that his sister might truly be alive. Filled with joy, he hurried back to his home. During this excitement, he ran into Leo, who was also aware of the elephant's situation. Given his role as a palace guard, Leo kindly offered assistance to Peter in gaining access to the elephant by speaking to the Countess and her advisors. Although Peter was eager to share the news with Lutz, he was met with Lutz's skepticism and lack of enthusiasm. Lutz held doubts about the elephant's significance. A passionate argument between Peter and Lutz ensued, with Peter expressing his firm belief in his sister's existence and his determination to overcome any challenges to find her. Leo approached the Countess, seeking information about the elephant's location. But their conversation was interrupted by her advisors. These advisors labeled the elephant a criminal and treated it as such. While they commanded the magician to vanish, he failed to comply. Their intention was to eliminate the elephant, although the Countess had yet to finalize her decision and would continue deliberating the following day. The Countess held the safety of her town in high regard, even if it meant parting with the elephant. Leo was stunned by this revelation, but he devised a plan. He sent a message about the elephant's situation to the king, knowing the king enjoyed being entertained and might intervene to save the creature. As the king made his way to the scene, Peter saw a chance and managed to sneak into the location where the elephant was held. Fortunately, he encountered Leo, who aided him in gaining access to the palace. Upon the king's arrival, they presented the elephant to the assembled crowd, and the people were captivated by the majestic creature's presence. After some time, the elephant's behavior grew erratic, raising concerns about its well-being. Peter observed the paint around the elephant's eyes causing discomfort and fetched a towel soaked in cold water to soothe it. He also positioned a water bucket for the elephant to inhale, helping it remove the troublesome pain. Peter's courageous actions earned him cheers from the onlookers, impressed by his ability to calm the animal. The countess expressed her gratitude for his intervention and offered him a place at the palace to care for the elephant. However, Peter declined the offer. He had a purpose in mind: to use the elephant as a guide to find his lost sister, driven by his unwavering belief in destiny. He approached the countess, requesting ownership of the elephant. The king consented to Peter's request but imposed a condition. Peter must accomplish 3 seemingly impossible tasks for the king before obtaining the elephant. Success would grant him ownership, while failure meant the king would retain the elephant. The first task assigned to Peter was to engage in a saber duel against the most formidable soldier at noon the following day. Leo, keen to help, imparted his saber skills and techniques to Peter. With each passing minute of training, Peter's proficiency improved. Subsequently, Peter requested to practice against a training dummy, enabling Leo to spend time with his wife, Gloria. Meanwhile, in the dead of night, Adele, Peter's long-lost sister, dreamt of an elephant. She confided in Marie, her guardian, about this dream, believing that the elephant was beckoning her somewhere. Marie assured Adele that she belonged where she was, safe and protected. Nonetheless, Adele questioned what she needed protection from. Marie revealed that she had experienced the harshness of the world and brought Adele to the safety of an orphanage, naming her after her late mother. According to Marie, interestingly, the elephant also experienced dreams, envisioning itself with its family and hearing its name being spoken. After some time, Peter devises a plan to secretly visit the elephant and use a map to guide the elephant towards indicating the location of his sister. This way, he hopes to avoid having to face the king's toughest soldier the next day. However, he quickly realizes that the elephant doesn't comprehend his intentions. The day of the battle arrives, and Peter is taken aback to learn that his opponent is Desmet, whom Vilna Lutz had recently mentioned. Peter rushes home to retrieve Desmet's fairy tale book, but Desmet doesn't make it easy for him. A chase ensues, leading Peter to the fish shop, where he exchanges his saber for a sizable fish. Cornered, he leaps into a river, escaping Desmet's pursuit. To distract Vilna Lutz, who is alerted by cat noises, Peter drops a fish to divert his attention, successfully securing the book. Peter confronts Desmet armed only with the book in hope. Desmet initially appears indifferent to Peter's efforts as he launches a final attack. However, he spots the book, which holds deep sentimental value, as his mother used to read him fairy tales from it every night. Eventually, Desmet surrenders, acknowledging the book's significance to him. The king commends Peter for triumphing over the first impossible task and thwarting the formidable soldier. As the second impossible task, the king challenges Peter to fly. While this seems nearly impossible for Peter, the king remains indifferent to the task's difficulty. Regardless of the challenge, the king insists Peter must undertake it. In a separate scene, one of Adele's neighbors informs her about an elephant, prompting Adele to rush to share the exciting news with Marie. Adele expresses her desire to visit the city, despite initial concerns about safety. Marie eventually agrees to grant Adele's wish. Upon Peter's return home, Vilna Lutz advises him against continuing his risky endeavors. Lutz acknowledges Peter's luck in defeating Desmet but warns that attempting to fly could lead to his demise. Despite Lutz's warnings, Peter remains determined to follow through with his intention. However, the truth is, he's clueless about how to accomplish that. Gloria intervenes, telling him to step inside and promising they'll discuss it later. In addition, they offer him a hearty stew for dinner. Peter relishes the meal, and the couple is delighted to see him enjoying himself. In the meantime, Marie and Adele reach the city under the cover of midnight and opt to spend the night at a guest house. Back home, with Peter still absent, Vilna Lutz scans the surroundings with his scope. This triggers a flashback for both him and Marie to a time of war. Amidst a retreat, Vilna Lutz heard the cries of a newborn baby, prompting him to rescue the infant he discovered in Marie's care along with Peter and Adele. Marie entrusted Adele to Lutz due to her inability to care for both children. Lutz, being a soldier, found himself ill-equipped to tend to a newborn, so he exchanged Peter for Adele and headed towards the garrison. Tragically, shortly after his departure, the building was obliterated along with the garrison, leading Lutz to assume that both children had perished. Unbeknownst to him, Marie and Adele survived. Despite rushing to the destroyed garrison, Marie was informed that there were no survivors, causing her to believe Lutz and Peter had perished. As the day for Peter's second impossible task arrives, a crowd assembles at the square to witness his attempt at flight. Among the spectators are Marie and Adele, who have come to see the elephant and observe Peter's daring endeavor. Peter ascends to the building's pinnacle, carefully traversing to the front roof. An accidental slip nearly results in a deadly fall. Yet Peter conquers his fear, climbing back up and eventually reaching the front roof once more. He leaps off, boldly asserting his determination to find his sister, and promptly opens a parachute from his bag, soaring through the city skies as the king wished. Vilna Lutz, observing from a window, is brimming with excitement as Peter defies expectations, and the crowd erupts in cheers. Following this triumph, the king announces Peter's final impossible task, to elicit laughter from the countess. Her smile has faded since her brother's death in battle. After the event concludes, Adele eagerly rushes to see the elephant, announcing her arrival to Peter. She proposes the idea of writing him a joke, assuming he might not be naturally humorous. Despite their close proximity, Peter and Adele haven't yet recognized each other's presence. Engaged in conversation, Marie approaches Adele, intending to take her home since no new information was gained from the elephant. Peter experiences a sense of familiarity upon seeing Adele, though he can't definitively place her. He confesses to not even knowing what his sister looks like, considering he left her when she was just a baby. Later that night, Vilna Lutz reveals the truth about the past to Peter. Lutz acknowledges he could have saved Peter's sister, but he chose not to. His role as a soldier back then meant he couldn't care for both children, prompting him to leave her with a nurse. Lutz's lies were motivated by a desire to shield Peter from further pain. The revelation prompts Peter to contemplate the possibility that he hadn't seen her dead, evoking a glimmer of hope. With newfound determination, he starts composing a joke, selecting the one that tickles his own funny bone the most. In a prison setting, the magician makes a decision. During a show, he confesses to Madame Valef the truth behind the mishaps. His intention was never to harm her or conjure an elephant. The disbelieving audience, staring at him on stage, shattered his confidence. That night, he attempted to cast a spell to regain their trust. But lacking skill as a magician, he inadvertently wrought disaster. Peter reassures the elephant, sharing his confidence in a great joke and his control over the situation. He promises to reunite the elephant with its family after successfully completing his final task. Choosing to rest near the elephant, Peter drifts into slumber, envisioning enjoyable moments with the elephant and its family. His dream is interrupted by Gloria, who informs him that his third task is imminent. As Peter takes the stage to deliver his joke, he recounts a tale of a farmer and a fisherman encountering a hen and a frog in a field. However, despite his best efforts, his joke fails to elicit any laughter, even from the countess. The king decides he's unsuccessful with the task. However, Peter disputes this decision, insisting that the elephant must be set free to reunite with its own family. Throughout the journey, Peter's aim was to win the elephant for his family, but he realizes the elephant has its own family that needs it back home. He urges the king to release the elephant to its rightful place. The king dismisses Peter's plea and commands the elephant to be brought to his kingdom. Suddenly, the fortune teller appears and uses a creative solution. She sprinkles pepper on a cat and places it in front of the elephant. The effect of the pepper on the cat causes the elephant to spit a repulsive substance at the king. This unexpected outcome leads to the countess bursting into laughter, which resonates with the crowd. The king's perspective shifts, and he allows Peter to pass his third task. All he truly desires is to witness the countess's laughter. With this, the elephant becomes Peter's. Various ideas are proposed on how to return the elephant to its family, yet none are deemed ideal. Peter approaches the magician with a unique request: to make the elephant disappear. The magician, initially hesitant due to past misfires, gains motivation from Peter's belief in his abilities. Everyone gathers at the square alongside the elephant. Adele, noticing the event, implores Marie to follow the elephant one final time. Vilna Lutz, determined not to miss this remarkable moment, abandons his wheelchair and walks with crutches. Peter bids farewell to his dear friend, and the magician commences his spellcasting. The elephant is successfully returned to its homeland, and the magician's control over his magic is restored. A sense of renewal permeates the scene as the sun shines, snow descends, and a miracle unfolds. Marie and Vilna Lutz unexpectedly encounter each other, astonished by each other's survival. It dawns on Peter that the girl is his long-lost sister. In a heartwarming conclusion, the family is joyfully reunited. The magician extends a heartfelt apology to Madame Valef for the troubles he caused and presents her with lilies as a symbol of remorse. The townsfolk now live in happiness. A new family has been forged, and the elephant is happily reunited with its own kin. This marks the conclusion of the story. If you enjoyed this summary, remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more content.